Okay. Of the Mahasangha, distinguished guests and dear friends. First of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks for having invited me to come and meet you and discuss something which is more important in our day-to-day life. So you have invited me to talk on how to live without fear and worry. I think we have to change the topic. How to live with fear and with worry. Because there is no possibility for anybody to live in this world without fear and without worry. This is the nature of the human mind. Do you know we are called Manushya? Do you know the reason why we are called Manushya? Any meaning there? Not sure. And if you do not know the meaning of Manushya, you are not Manushya. It's a very meaningful word used in so many languages. Thousands of years ago started. Mana means mind. Manussa, manasa usannata. A living being who can raise, develop, cultivate the mind up to the maximum level. That living being is called Manushya. According to the teachings of the Buddha, there are 31 groups of living beings in this universe. So human beings belong to one of these groups. We are called Manushya, and other living beings also give a name according to their way of life. Human mind is such that can be developed either to destroy the whole world or to guide the whole humanity to lead a respectable, noble, harmless life. Now you can understand the nature of the human mind. Scientists have developed human intelligence without depending on God or religion, by using their independent intelligence. They have discovered many things. Finally, they have misused what they have discovered for the destructive purpose. Today, human mind can destroy the whole world within half an hour. There is no another living beings in this universe who can do that. That is why Albert Einstein, one of the best, very highly intellectual scientist, he says, science without religion is blind. That means they do not know what they are doing. Nobody to guide them, correct them, divert their mind to go through a correct way, path. According to their discovery, they produce nuclear weapons to destroy the whole world. That is human mind. A god or devil or ghost or any other living beings cannot do that. Only human mind. On the other hand, the Buddha, by cultivating, developing, purifying his mind, he gained enlightenment. Many people actually do not know what is enlightenment. Very loosely they use this word, enlightenment. So one day, when the Buddha was going somewhere, he met a Brahmin. I think you know the meaning of Brahmin. The Hindu priest, teacher, master, guru for everything. They are called Brahmana. He has never seen another human being like this person. So he could not believe that this is a human being. He came and asked, "May I know whether you are a god?" The Buddha says, "No, I am not a god." Others try to claim they are God or messenger of God or son of God. The Buddha says, "No, I am not a god." Then he asked, in that case, "May I know whether you are any other form of supernatural living being?" He said, "No, I am very natural." Then he asked, in that case, "Are you an ordinary human being?" "No." Now confusing in his mind who this person is. Then who are you? The Buddha gave the answer. This answer is very important for us to know, to understand who the Buddha is. If somebody come and ask you, now you follow the Buddha, can you tell me actually who the Buddha is? But I don't think you can give correct answer. You say something. This self-introduction given by the Buddha is very meaningful. We can understand why he is called enlightened one. He said in his own language, "Abhinyeyang abhinyatang." I understood everything that which exists in this universe. Bhavetabbancha bhavitam. I have practiced all the great qualities, virtues, morals, principles and good qualities in this world. Pahatabbang pahinang me. I have eradicated, uprooted all the wicked, cruel, harmful, immoral thoughts, words and action. Tasma buddhosmi brahmana. Therefore, I am not a god, not an angel, not an ordinary man. I am the Buddha. This is the meaning of the Buddha or enlightenment. Buddha is not his name. Buddhi in Sanskrit, Pali languages means wisdom. Buddhi. Buddha means person who got that supreme enlightenment. That person is called the Buddha. So, you can understand how difficult it is for a person to develop his mind to know everything that which exists in this universe. He has not done this within one lifetime. Life after life, by practicing parami or perfection, he went on cultivating, developing, knowing, understanding all the existing things. That is why the Buddhas are very rare. Now, 2500 years ago, Sakyamuni, the Buddha appeared. But we do not know how many thousands or how many millions of years we had to wait to see another Buddha. That is the most difficult task in this world, becoming a Buddha. Cultivate all the great qualities, virtues, principles, morals, and eradicate all the evil, wicked, cruel, harmful, immoral things. Take, for instance, how difficult it is. Now, all of us have jealousy. Jealousy is very minor weakness. We know we never gain anything because of our jealousy. We create very bad atmosphere, we create enemies for nothing. Even then, can we completely eradicate the jealousy from our mind within one lifetime? There's no one who can do that. Here, Bodhisattva, before becoming a Buddha, he is called Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva means, Bodhi means wisdom, Sattva means person. Person who was working to gain supreme wisdom is called Bodhisattva. So as a Bodhisattva, life after life he went on developing, cultivating, eradicating evil things. Then purified the mind. It is impossible for us to find out another human being who has purified his or her mind, can behave as cultured, understanding, kind, honest person. But the evil thought, the roots of the evil thoughts are in the mind. Circumstances, environment, temptation, irritation, flare up. One of those evil thoughts which are dominating in our mind. Therefore, it is not so easy to purify our mind. But he said his mind is completely purified. The purity of the mind and the supreme wisdom, knowledge, understanding, realization he had combined together. Then the brightness is there. In his first sermon, Dhammacakka Sutta, the Buddha says, Aloko udapadi. Brightness arose in his mind that he never had before. In our mind, there is no brightness. Because mind is in the dark. There are so many dark clouds around our mind. Greed, selfishness, anger, jealousy, grudge, ill will, all these are dark clouds moving around our mind. Therefore, mind is in the dark. That is why we cannot understand, we cannot see things properly. We create our own imagination, wrong concept, wrong belief, wrong ideas, because we cannot see the reality in life or anything that which exists. So the Buddha has done this. Then after gaining enlightenment, he advised. There were 60 Arahantas. Arahanta means those who have completely purified their mind, they are perfect saints. They are not enlightened. They are perfect saint. He said, Charata bhikkhave charikang bahujana hitaya bahujana sukhaya lokanukampaya attaya hitaya sukhaya deva manusana. This is the first missionary religion in this world. Buddhism is the first missionary religion. After training these 60 Arahantas, the Buddha said, Charata bhikkhave charika. Now go forth, go out. Two persons should not go together. Individually, one by one, to spread all over the country. Bahujana hitaya, for the well-being of others. It is your duty to guide, to correct, show them the correct path, how to lead a respectable, harmless life. Bahujana hitaya. Bahujana sukhaya, for the happiness of others. Many people are worrying and crying and lamenting and whole day and night, not knowing what to do. But you must go out and try to make them to understand the nature of their problems and troubles and difficulties that they are facing. Bahujana sukhaya. Bahujana hitaya. Must have sympathy, kindness, compassion toward them and guide them to lead a respectable life. This is the mission that the Buddha wanted to introduce. He did not want to introduce a religion. He did not want to introduce Buddhism. He wanted to introduce how to lead a respectable, harmless, noble life. That is the main purpose of his message. Later, we have developed his message as a religion. If you analyze this word religion, actually Buddhism is not a religion. We lower the status of the message of the Buddha if we say Buddhism is a religion. What is the meaning of this word, religion? It is a Latin word, religio. Religio means binding. So when they created this word religion, they interpreted binding to God. That is religion. If religion means binding to God, we cannot say Buddhism is a religion. Why? Addressing those 60 Arahantas, Buddha says, Muttohang sabba pasehi ye dibba ye chamanusa. Now, all of us are liberated, released from divine and human bondages, fetters. Yeah? Binding, but Buddha says you want to release, not to bind them. That is the Buddha's message. But we are doing so many things in the name of the Buddha, in the name of religion, according to our way of life. our culture, our traditions, our way of life. But this is, today we accept as a religion. Anyway, just now I mentioned the nature of the human mind. If it is not guided properly, that human beings can misuse that intelligence for the destructive purpose. Because they have more jealousy, more greed, more selfishness, more anger in their mind when compared with other living beings. Others have very lesser degree of these forces. But human beings have these evil forces which create, persuade, encourage, force them to create endless problems, troubles, disturbances, violence, bloodshed, war. When the United Nations wanted to draft the Constitution, they have repeated what the Buddha has said. They do not know that. It is written, war begins in the human mind. War is not created by devil or ghost or God or anybody, but the human being. Animals never create war. Take for instance, few dogs start barking, attacking, biting each other today. After that they separate. Tomorrow when they meet, they are good friends. If human beings had such battle, forever they keep this enmity. Small children, when they play, they fight and attack and scratch and cry, then come and complain to the mother or father. Then they go and do something to console them. Slowly they separate. Next day when they meet, again they get together and play. They cannot remember that they had a fight yesterday. Here you can see the nature of our mind. We keep this in our mind throughout our life. Then the whole family members also join with them. This is the nature of the human being. So, main purpose of the Buddha's message, now you can understand. He started with right understanding, not with faith or belief. There is nothing to believe in Buddhism. I have written that book, What Buddhists Believe. One day a Christian priest came with a group of people to have a dialogue, very friendly dialogue. Then he asked this question, can you tell me actually what Buddhists believe? I told him very frankly, Buddhists do not believe anything. He got a shock. Then he saw my book in the cupboard. He said, why did you write that book? What Buddhists believe? That is why I wrote this book. You better read. You can understand whether there is anything for you to believe. We use the word belief when we cannot understand. I believe you are so and so. If I know you are so and so, I never use the word I believe you are so and so. When we are uncertain, when we can understand, we use the word belief. Now, as Buddhists, we never say we believe in the Buddha. There is nothing for us to believe. Why? We know the Buddha. If we know the Buddha, there is nothing for us to believe. Understanding. That is why he did not start his mission with belief. We believe something today, after some time it changes, knowing that it is wrong. Throughout our life we are going on changing our belief. But understanding, try to understand first. Then, without understanding, whatever you do, very easily you can create mistake or disturbances. Through understanding, you try to cultivate the good qualities and to reduce the bad habits or human weaknesses. Here, what is the meaning of Sammaditthi in Eight Noble Path? He started his mission with Sammaditthi, right understanding. That is the beginning of Buddhism. That is why there is no belief. What is this understanding? Understanding of Four Noble Truths. What are those Four Noble Truths? Why they are called Noble Truths? Truth is truth. Where is noble truth? But the truth revealed by the Buddha is a noble truth. Why? It will never change. Person who tries to follow by knowing this method also become noble people. That is why it is called noble truth. Four noble truths. What are those four? Dukkha, Samudaya, Nirodha, Marga. Four noble truths. Dukkha. Unsatisfactoriness in our life. How many times a day we experience unsatisfactoriness? Whatever we have, more than enough things we have, but always we experience unsatisfactoriness. This is the nature of our life. Dukkha. Samudaya. What is the cause of this unsatisfactoriness? We can blame others, we can accuse others, we can complain, but others are not responsible for the cause of our unsatisfactoriness. Our craving, our greed, our selfishness, that is the cause of our unsatisfactoriness. If the contentment is there, one of the best advice given by the Buddha for us to maintain contentment. What is contentment? This is enough for me. This is enough for our family. Then you maintain contentment. After that, you do not develop jealousy. Because you have. You have no jealousy when others enjoy their life. You are contented. When there is no jealousy, anger also cannot appear in that mind. If there is no anger, violence and bloodshed also never appear there. But started with that contentment. So simple, but we can avoid endless enormous problems if we can maintain contentment. But our greed is so high, although we can possess the whole world as our property, but still cannot satisfy. This is the nature of the human mind. No contentment. So, unsatisfactoriness always appear in our mind due to our greed or selfishness or anxieties. Dukkha samudaya. Then nirodha. What sort of freedom that we gain by reducing this unsatisfactoriness? If there is satisfaction in our mind, there's no trouble, no complaint, no worries, no disturbances, because satisfaction is there. Why there is satisfaction? We have trained the mind not to develop craving, our greed and so many other things. Then release. Mind is relaxing. That is called nirvana. Nirvana means complete freedom from unsatisfactoriness, physical and mental pain and sufferings and unsatisfactoriness that we are facing. Nirvana is not a place, not a planet, not a different world. We achieve, we gain. We cannot go to nirvana. That word is wrong. I want to go to nirvana. No one can go to nirvana. You can bring nirvana. When you reduce all these evil forces from your mind, you bring nirvana into your mind. That means you are completely free. All these worries and problems and troubles and suffering that you are facing today. Then the last one is magga. Magga means way or path. What should we do to gain this freedom, liberation, salvation? That is the most important aspect. The Buddha did not encourage anybody to come and worship him. He never asked anybody to come and worship him. He was not in favor of erecting Buddha images. For nearly 500 years in India, they had never discovered any Buddha image. They started to erect images during Greek occupation. When Afghanistan, those people destroyed the Buddha images, even Muslims, Christians also come and ask, why you people are keeping quiet? I told that is the uniqueness in Buddhism. Just because those people have broken some stone there, why should we fight here and create violence and bloodshed? That is Buddhism. Again I told them, if people followed the Buddha, there is no image for them to destroy today. Without any image, we can practice the teachings of the Buddha. Not only image. When the Buddha was alive, one of his disciples called Vakkali, every day he come and sit down in front of the Buddha and watching, just like watching television. Buddha asked Vakkali, what are you doing here? Then he told, when I look at your physical body, your complexions and features and the serenity and everything gives a lot of happiness. That is why I like to come and watch. Then the Buddha said, now you can understand who the Buddha is. In his own word. Kinte vakkali imina putikayena duggandhena sarire. Vakkali, by watching this dirty, filthy, impermanent physical body, what do you gain? Nothing. You entertain your emotion. That's all. You cannot see the Buddha by watching the physical body. There is no difference with the Buddha's body or your body or my body. Body is body. That is why Buddha says this dirty, filthy, impermanent physical body. What do you gain? Nothing. Yo dhammang passati, so mang passati. Then the Buddha said, if anybody want to see the real Buddha, try to understand the dharma taught by the Buddha. Through this dharma, through his teaching, you can create the real Buddha in your mind. All the others artificials. Real Buddha you can see. If you come to know, what the Buddha has said, correct. You create the real Buddha in your mind. So, physical body, the Buddha had many sicknesses, suffer. But this body does not know this is the Buddha. So he had to suffer from various things. That is the nature of the physical body. According to Mahayana schools of Buddhism, they introduced 3 bodies of the Buddha, 3 kaya. Kaya means body. Sambhoga kaya, Nirmana kaya, Dharma kaya. 3 bodies he had. Although he had 3 bodies, he was not a busybody. Sambhoga kaya, the body that he used to preach, to talk, to guide, lead others. He used Sambhoga kaya. To eat, to sleep, to take bath, to go to toilet, he used Nirmana kaya. Dharma kaya, doctrinal body. After his passing away, Sambhoga kaya disappeared. Nirmana kaya disappeared. Dharma kaya exists. That means Buddha did not die. The Buddha cannot die. That physical body and the activities that physical body maintain, everything died. Activities by using the physical body. But not the dharma, not with this enlightenment. This dharma kaya exists forever. This is for people to understand. Buddha is not dead. Others come and criticize. Buddha is not a god. He is a man. He is dead and gone. Why do you want to worship? Why do you want to pray? What do you gain by worshipping this dead man? That's why they try to convert others into their religion by using this word. But you don't know what to say. When they come and criticize like this, you do not know what to say. Here, you can say, Buddha did not die. Remember this. Dharma kaya, dharma body. In his teaching it is mentioned, whether the Buddhas appear or not, dharma exists forever in this world. That Dharma body of the Buddha never died. After gaining enlightenment, immediately after he recited this word, Pāturahosi magadesu pubbe dhammo asuddho samale chintito. This Dharma that I understood through my enlightenment is not a new Dharma, new doctrine. This Dharma existed long ago in this country. But people have forgotten, misled, misinterpreted, completely polluted. That is why the Buddhas will appear from time to time to reveal the hidden, spoiled, polluted Dharma, to bring them into the correct path. That is the duty. Different Buddhas have no different doctrine, teaching. Same teaching, same message by every Buddha. Now the path he has introduced for us to stop all our physical and mental sufferings and worries and fears and disturbances. 8 noble paths, 8 methods. Simply by worshipping, praying to Buddha, or by erecting huge Buddha images and temples and pagodas, and performing rite and rituals and ceremonies in the name of Buddhism, we do not get the chance to find out our salvation. These are the activities that people have introduced from time to time to influence others, to bring others. But if we remain forever by performing all those activities, we never gain our salvation. Please remember this. We had to get into this correct path. Otherwise, no end. What are those 8 items? Samma ditti, samma sankappa, samma vacha, samma kammanta, samma ajiva, samma vayama, samma sati, samma samadhi. 8. We have to follow these 8 methods. First, right understanding. Instead of believing, creating imagination, your own conception, try to understand. Within your capacity, must try to understand. That is the beginning of Buddhism. After this understanding, Samma Sankappa, try to understand what is in your mind. We know everything in this world. What is happening all over the world. But we do not know what is happening in our mind. This is our niche. So his advice is you must try to know, try to understand what is in your mind. Then if you think unbiasedly, then you can understand I have jealousy, I have anger, I have greed, I have enmity, I have kindness, I have compassion, I have sympathy, I have honesty. Then we analyze. Then we come to know, according to our way of life, the way how we talk, the way how we live, the way how we work, we can understand how we use these things. Good things and bad things are understood. We should not try to justify, oh, nothing wrong with us. Always blame others. Our egoism, that egoistic idea, becomes the main cause of so many troubles and problems in this world. When there is a problem, violence, We always blame others. But when we investigate unbiasedly, I am also responsible for that. I also contributed something for this problem and violence and bloodshed. That is how, unbiasedly, when we try to understand the nature of our mind, we had to admit. There is a well-known saying written by a Mahayana Buddhist scholar, Dharmakirti. He says, when we have problems, instead of worrying, we must try to find out what is the cause of this problem. By worrying, you never get the chance to get rid of your worry. You develop your worries. Then you will come to know, oh, this is the cause of this. The book that I have written, Why Worry? Do you know how many people have stopped committing suicide after reading this book? They came to see me, they have written to me. 2 years ago when I went to Australia, one lady is a wife of a doctor. She, having seen my name in the newspaper, she came and told me, you saved my life. I think, how? I have never seen you. No. Somebody gave you a book for me to read. I have decided to commit suicide, given up everything. But I read this book twice. After reading, I came to know that I am also responsible for some of these problems. Why should I commit suicide? Some people in Malaysia, Germany, England, America, one couple in America, separated. One of them had the chance to read this book. They were not Buddhist. After reading, with the husband or wife, after reading, that person came to know that they have separated due to misunderstanding. Then send the book to the other person, husband or wife, to read. And after reading, that person also understood. Then again they get together and written me a letter. Because of your book, now we are living together as husband and wife. A prisoner in South Africa, 2 weeks ago, I received a letter after reading this book, Why Worry? He became a Buddhist. Do you know what nationality, what religion he had earlier? He said, I have become Buddhist after reading this book. Now I want to introduce this among my friends in the prison. So I sent few copies. Second letter I received, there's a big demand. And people do not worry, do not complain, do not bother, do not, show their sour face. They can understand the nature of problems. So amount of letters I get from England. I got a letter from the husband. My wife had a very moody and very hot-tempered lady. Always argue and fight and quarrels with others, relatives and friends and neighbors. When I was thinking what to do, I had the opportunity to read your book, Why Worry? After reading, I handed over. Then she also read. After reading, now it seemed completely changed her attitude. Now she is very understanding and very peaceful wife. This from England. From Germany, I got a letter. Your book, why worry? I use as my Bible. Always I keep this under my pillow. When I go to bed, I read at least 2 or 3 pages. Because I know how to console my mind after reading this book. Here, we create our own imagination. Because of our greed or jealousy or anger or discriminations, we are not ready to admit that these are wrong attitude. We suffer because of our own evil thought and blame others. You can understand this when you change your way of life through your understanding. Now here, 8 Noble Path. The Buddha advised, first one, try to understand. Then try to find out the nature of your own mind. Then, Samma Vacha. How to talk. Art of talk. We talk, but we do not know what we talk. Create unnecessary misunderstanding, enmity, argument, because we have not learned how to talk. We had to learn. Talk mindfully. Mindful means we must know what we are talking. The Buddha's advice is, if you want to talk, talk something meaningful. If you haven't got anything meaningful to talk, better to observe silence. This is the advice given by the Buddha. In Zen Buddhism, it is mentioned, those who do not know talk a lot. Those who know keep quiet. It is true. Due to lack of understanding, we are talking. Therefore, art of talking. Talk with mindfully. What we are talking, to whom are we talking, whether it is necessary to talk. Even in Mangala Sutta, the Buddha says, Kalena Dhamma Sakaccha. You have to discuss the Dharma, but Kalena, at proper time. If you go on talking always, talking about 8 Noble Paths, 4 Noble Truths and Nirvana and Buddha, people think you have something wrong with your mind. That is why Buddha says you can talk the Dharma when the time is suitable.